have a very good feel for what the market, what the public is willing to accept. How far can you carry aerodynamic efficiency without violating the package, i.e. the space for passengers and mechanical components? And in this development, we have, of course, assumed certain material developments to come on stream. For instance, the total underbody cladding would be assumed to be in a high resilient plastic, which is obviously for corrosion protection very important. But also, you can imagine, as we are covering the engine compartment, the heat generation is such that we cannot use many plastics which are on the market today. So we have assumed fairly sophisticated plastic materials, which at the moment would be probably prohibitive, cost-wise, to be assumed for a high-volume production car. But 80–90% of the elements we have used on Probe 3 to improve aerodynamics further are technically feasible.
Another major factor in the rational and practical design is the need to meet safety legislation. Uwe Bahnsen used the example of wing mirrors, where safety considerations must be fused with good aerodynamic design.
We have achieved an extremely smooth airflow. The rearview mirror is an element which needs particular attention, and these models here are actually wind tunnel models, where we have tried to achieve within the legal parameter for size, i.e. vision, and secondly, the foldability of the mirror in terms of safety, to achieve a minimum disruption through the mirror by shaping the mirror body itself in the wind tunnel.
That's to meet a piece of legislation, the foldability of the mirror.
Yes. The one part of the legislation is the size of the mirror, because your field of view is determined, and we have to respond to that. The other one is the foldability, and actually it's spring-loaded so that if you touch a pedestrian or a cyclist, the mirror flips out of the way in both directions. Now, that does introduce certain limitations in terms of how efficient you can develop the mirror shape. And what we are trying to do here, for instance, you see this little opening at the bottom of the mirror to, again, manipulate the airflow around the mirror in such a way that the negative effect of this element sticking out into the airflow is minimized.
So what did he feel were the necessary qualifications for his designers?
Well, obviously, creativity is the most important element, and his ability to sense and develop three-dimensional shapes and forms, that is the key issue. But I do require a good knowledge of all the interaction of the various disciplines and components of the car.
Back in the marketplace, the pilgrims are allowed to mingle amongst the hardware. Now, the livelihood of these dealers depends on this car. They want to believe in it. They've just been through a briefing which in multimedia glory tells them it's a marvel. So what do they believe?
Very exciting motor car. And I'm looking forward to bringing it to the public.
Oh, excitement. It really is an incredible shaped motor car. There's nothing like it.
I think it's exceptionally modern, and I think that it does put some competitors' cars, makes them look very dated now.
And you're quite confident that you've got the recipe right on this occasion?
We are indeed, very, very confident indeed, David, because it's vitally important, of course, we do get this one right. Sierra replacing the Cortina, which is the #1 bestseller in the marketplace, but we're very confident we have them.
And do you foresee it having a life as long as the Cortina?
In its various phases, yes, but as you know, Cortina launched 20 years ago. We've had 4 different marks of that, and of course there are going to be different marks of the Sierra looking to the future.
So what we're looking at now is really a car that's projected for the next 20 years in its basic form anyway.
In its basic form, yes, but very clearly styling can get even more aerodynamic than Sierra is at this present time.
So you would look forward to even softer, more rounded shapes?
I think that is the trend of the marketplace today. Now, trends are not irreversible. You know, they can change, and therefore we've got to keep abreast of everything that's going on in the design world.
The dark secret at the heart of the car industry is that the maximum possible sales have to be squeezed out of the minimum possible real changes. And this, more often than not, means tinkering with existing engineering and stretching a model range, or just the cosmetics of changing badges. As the cost of designing and developing new cars increases, 385 million for the Metro and 700 for the Sierra, this kind of enterprise becomes rarer and rarer. And with so much money riding on the launch of a new car, the atmosphere of excitement, optimism and apprehension is understandable. The moments of evangelical tub-thumping are understandable too. Failure is unthinkable. The prophecies just have to be self-fulfilling, don't they? Everyone has to be a true believer. This is the second coming for aerodynamics, and true believers do not care if new ideas are reincarnations of old. They may not even notice the fact that we have been here before. But last time, despite a couple of mass-produced cars such as the Czechoslovakian Tatra and the Fiat Beer, aerodynamics, or streamlining as it was then known, was little more than a new fad which came and went.
The problem is if everyone is aiming to get the lowest drag coefficient and everyone is actually sticking things in wind tunnels, are they going to all come out looking the same? Obviously aerodynamics are going to be important because economy and running costs are going to continue to be important. But at the same time, it comes back to a need to be able to advertise the car as something a little bit different and something that's going to be appealing and attractive. And perhaps it comes down to the difference between the fundamental style of the car and the cosmetics that are added on afterwards that maybe give it just that little bit of extra panache.